And then there are spaces that feel like a full, warm invitation.
Right.
And I don't think any design style has that immediate pull, that feeling of, come on in, stay a while, quite like the French country kitchen.
It's really the architectural antidote to all the sleek, hyper-minimalist trends we see everywhere.
It really is.
This style isn't about being perfect. It's not about a high polish or the latest gadget.
No.
When we dive into the sources, what's absolutely clear is that it captivates people because it's all about warmth, tradition, and, a real respect for daily life.
So our mission today is to unpack the psychology of that. Why does this particular style feel so timeless, so gentle?
And to do that, you have to start right at the source.
Back to rural France.
Exactly. And we're not talking about, formal Parisian design. Not at all.
No gilt edges here?
No. This is rooted firmly in the countryside. Places like Provence, Normandy, the Loire Valley. These were farming regions.
Yeah.
And that context is everything.
And what's foundational, right from the start, is the purpose. These were not show kitchens.
Oh, absolutely not.
They were the engine room of the farm. They were working kitchens built for durability, for feeding huge families through these long, hard days. Practicality was number one.
Well, you have to think about how they functioned. They were incredibly multi-purpose, out of pure necessity.
More than just cooking.
So much more. It's where you'd preserve food-curing meats, making jams. The hearth was often the main source of heat for the entire house.
Wow.
And at the end of the day, that's where everyone gathered. The family, the farmhands, everyone.
So that feeling of hospitality we get from the modern versions, it's not just a style choice.
No, it's in the DNA.
It's a direct line back to that historical rhythm of home.
And that DNA dictated the construction.
Mm-hmm.
You said durability, and you see it in the materials. Thick stone walls, especially in a place like Normandy.
For insulation, right?
Exactly. It kept the kitchen cool in the summer and held the heat from the hearth in the winter. It was climate control, just ancient. And the furniture, it was built to last for generations of constant use.
That structural integrity seems to lead right into the aesthetics, into the color and the materials that give it that calm, welcoming feeling.
It does. The color palette is so connected to the landscape. It's not about anything stark or artificial.
It feels very natural.
It's all soft, muted tones. Think creamy whites, warm ivories, soft grays, pale blues, earthy beiges. These are colors designed to just receive.
And the sources frame it perfectly. They say these are the colors of the environment itself.
They are.
Limestone walls, some bleached wood, aged plaster, and then in Provence you get those hints of lavender or olive green.
What's really interesting is how they're layered. You'll have a soft off-white wall next to a cabinet that's a slightly deeper cream. It creates this harmony where nothing is shouting for attention. The whole effect is just meant to be calm.
And crucially, it's not about precision, is it? The sources are very clear on this. Patina, variations, a few chips here and there. Those are features.
They are features, not flaws. The whole point is that the kitchen should feel softened by time.
I love that phrase.
It's a core idea, really. In so much modern design, the goal is this kind of sterile perfection, an unblemished surface. The French country kitchen just rejects that.
It accepts that life is messy.
Exactly. It understands that a kitchen that's actually used will get scars. And by celebrating that wear and tear, it immediately feels more welcoming. It takes the pressure off.
And that philosophy of graceful aging, it extends right into the materials themselves. Natural, honest materials.
Let's start with wood. Wood is absolutely everywhere. You see it in the ceiling beams, the white plank floors, the tables, the cabinets.
And it's usually not heavily finished, right?
Right. It's often natural or has a light wash so you can see the grain, the knots, the marks of use. And even when it is painted, it's in those muted colors. Maybe a little distress to hint at its history.
Then you have the grounding elements, the stone and the tile. They give it that feeling of permanence.
They literally ground the space. You see classics like limestone, slate, or terracotta tiles. They have this rough matte finish that's just incredibly durable.
And for backsplashes?
Rarely anything glossy. You might get simple ceramic tiles, maybe with a hand-painted edge, or even just rough plaster. It's all about texture and irregularity over machine-made perfection.
That texture is so key. Even the metals add to it. You see things like wrought iron for a pot rack or maybe aged brass for the handle.
Yes, but always with that slightly weathered matte finish. It reinforces the idea that the kitchen is evolving, that it isn't frozen in time.
So now let's get to the elements that really set the style apart from modern design. I'm thinking specifically about The table.
Yes, the table. This is maybe the most important part.
It's the absolute heart of the kitchen, and it's such a contrast to the modern obsession with the kitchen island, with its bar seating.
An island can be very transactional. You stand, you prep, you eat quickly. A big, sturdy farmhouse table, often right in the middle of the room, it forces you to sit down, to linger.
Interact.
It's where bread gets kneaded, vegetables get chopped, but also where homework gets done and conversations happen. It is the ultimate symbol of hospitality.
And it's meant to show its history, right? The scratches and dents are part of the story.
They're a record of use, as the sources say, not damage. It's an acceptance of life's little imperfections right there in the wood.
I love that.
And you'll notice the chairs often don't match perfectly. That's not an accident. It reinforces that feeling that things have been collected over time, not bought as a set.
Okay, what about storage? The cabinetry. It looks substantial, but not ornate.
Right. It's all about function. You see classic styles like raised panels or beadboard.
And for anyone who doesn't know, beadboard is that simple vertical wood paneling.
Exactly. It has a little texture, but it's very humble.
Yeah.
And the hardware is the same. Simple knobs, bin pulls, iron handles, all chosen for durability.
Which brings us to open shelving. We see that a lot. Why the preference for having everything out in the open?
I think it comes back to utility and honesty. Why hide the things you use every day?
The bowls, the plates.
Yeah, you need them within reach. It also encourages you to have practical items that are also beautiful, like simple white ceramics or stacks of linen napkins. The tools of daily life become part of the decor.
So once you have all those heavy, honest materials, the wood, the stone, you need to soften it. Let's talk about creating that atmosphere, starting with the lighting.
Okay.
It's never harsh, is it? There's a total avoidance of big, centralized overhead lights.
It has to be soft and layered. It's a complete rejection of that kind of institutional brightness.
Yeah.
You might have a simple iron chandelier over the table, but then you layer it with wall sconces or maybe a small lamp on a counter.
And natural light is a huge priority.
A huge priority. Large windows, often with just simple linen curtains that filter the light instead of blocking it. And in the evening, all those lamps and sconces keep the feeling cozy and intimate.
And then you have the textiles. They're the final layer of softness, balancing out all the hard surfaces.
And linen is the absolute champion here. Curtains, dish towels, tablecloths, napkins, everything.
Because it's durable, but it also gets softer every time you wash it.
Which is that philosophy again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Things getting better with age. When you do see patterns, they're always in those soft colors, checks, stripes, maybe a floral or sometimes toile.
Ah, toile. That classic French fabric.
Right, toile de jouy. It's usually one color, like blue or red, on an off-white background with these complex pastoral scenes. It fits because it's traditional and it tells a story, but it isn't visually loud. And crucially, all these fabrics are meant to be used and stained and washed and used again.
Which leads us to the decor itself. The guiding principle seems to be that it should look collected, not curated. What does that mean in practice?
Well, curated feels like you went out and bought 3 matching vases just for that shelf. Exactly. Collected means you bought that copper pot 40 years ago because you needed a good stock pot, and now you hang it up because it's both beautiful and useful. You see things chosen for sentiment or function. Ceramic bowls full of eggs, glass jars of grain, stacks of old cookbooks.
It's a room that looks like it has evolved over time, organically, not like a designer just left. Now, okay, let's unpack this a little. So what does this all mean? We've talked about the materials, the table, the colors, but what's the bigger philosophical takeaway here?
I think it endures because it embodies a philosophy of living that we're kind of craving.
Right.
It encourages connection over pure efficiency. It honors imperfection, it honors aging, it honors the simple daily routines. It suggests a slower pace, where making a meal is an act of care, not just a problem to be solved as quickly as possible.
That's the core of it, isn't it? In our rushed world, the French country kitchen offers this sense of comfort and continuity. It's a rejection of the disposable.
Absolutely. The best definition I've found is that a French country kitchen is basically a living room with a stove.
I love that. A gathering place disguised as a workspace.
Its real beauty comes out when it's filled with life, with smells, with conversation, not when it's just sitting there perfectly clean for a photo. The design is optimized for living.
And the good news is, you don't need an old farmhouse to get this feeling. You can bring the essence of it into a modern home.
You can, by prioritizing those core ideas. Durability, natural materials, warmth, and just letting go of that need for everything to be perfect and unblemished.
It's a style that accepts mess, celebrates routine, and just welcomes people. without any pretense.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to chew on.
Go on.
If the modern kitchen is designed for peak efficiency, for speed, what fundamental human experience are we sacrificing by making that the absolute priority?
What are we losing to save those 10 minutes?
Exactly. What do we lose when we trade that slow hospitality of a scratched, sturdy farmhouse table for pure, unadulterated speed?
Something to think about. That's all for this deep dive.